All right, guys. So, have you ever found yourself in a situation where you planned out a presentation perfectly? You know exactly what you were going to say, you know exactly how you're going to say it. You even sprinkled in a few jokes to make the audience laugh. And you did all of that perfect prep. But for some reason, when you executed, nobody was listening. Everyone had that blank stare. You know what I'm talking about, right? Where people are just sitting there nodding their head, but they're not really listening to you. And you can see that through the audience, and it makes you feel more nervous. And then you completely fuddled your entire presentation because you got nervous watching everybody not listen to you. Well, here's the thing. So, when people do prep, usually they focus on what they are going to say, right? Now, that inner focus is really important when we need to learn lines and we need to think about how we're going to say things. We need to shift our focus more outward. So instead of creating the presentation, creating the prep, thinking about me, and what I'm going to say, and then end up doing the presentation, speaking to a blank wall, we need to focus on our audience. Who are they? What do they want? What do they want to hear? When we create our presentation based on what the audience wants, that's how we build a connection with them. As a public speaking coach, I'm here to give you 3 tips on how to build that connection with your audience. So next time you prepare a perfect presentation, you're not stuck feeling like all of that prep went for nothing. Okay, so advice number 1, it's very simple. Know who your audience is. Who are they? Why are they here? Why do they want to listen to you? You need to know exactly who you're talking to and what the details of their demographic are. So for example, how old are they? Are they a bunch of kids? Are you talking to adults maybe 20 to 30 years old? Are you talking to elderly people who are maybe in their 60s or 70s? It is important that you know that detail. Why? Because what you say is going to change based on what the demographic is. Now, if you have a mixture of people, if you have a wide variety, I think it's okay to keep it pretty standard. But if your demographic tends to lean towards one majority, it's important to focus on that majority. So for example, if I'm talking to people who are in their 60s or 70s, I might want to throw in a few jokes that are relatable to them. If the audience is in their 60s or 70s and I start talking about Minecraft, because I really like Minecraft and I want to throw in a Minecraft joke in there, nobody is going to get it. They're 60 years old. They're 70 years old. They will not get your Minecraft joke. So take that out of your presentation. For example, if your audience are a group of kids, right? Then you can start throwing in the Minecraft jokes because you can bet that they're gonna go crazy when you make that Minecraft reference. But the speed in which you speak also matters too. Who am I talking to? Am I talking to a group of guys about the same age as me? Okay. Now it's important that not just for jokes, but the entire speed of your presentation really matters based on who you're speaking with. If you're making a presentation for your colleagues or for your boss in a business setting, you can go at a pretty fast pace because business people tend to catch concepts very quickly. But if you're giving a presentation to people who are more laid back, for example, elderly people who have all the time in the world and they're just here to hear you speak, you can go a little slower. And that's okay, because you know what? The most important thing is that whatever you're saying, your audience is inputting it into their brain. If you're just blasting them with information, right? Even if that information is really, really important, if you're just blasting it into their brain and it doesn't compute into their head, then you've completely lost the purpose of the presentation. Another interesting thing that I like to play with as a public speaking coach is formality. How formal am I with you? Sometimes lowering that formality helps improve the connection with the audience. Sometimes if we're too formal, it leads to people feeling off-put by your presentation. But if we lower that a little bit, depending on who you're talking to and depending on what the theme of the presentation is, we can really use that formality to build a connection. If you're in a business setting, you want to be very formal because that is expected of you in that setting. And so having that standard, achieving that standard, helps you build rapport and connection with your audience. But if it's a more casual talk, right? For example, a seminar, not business related, maybe something more of a casual setting, a casual topic, maybe you can be a little informal. That kind of speech really depends on your setting. So that is another thing to keep in mind when you are building your presentation. Step 2, now that you know your audience, it's important that you listen to your audience. If I'm having a presentation, right, and I'm just saying, oh my God, look at this is amazing. Oh my God, look at this is amazing. And I'm just going off on a tangent, and even though I am having a great time, my audience is not, but because I'm so absorbed in what I'm doing, I'm not even listening to my audience. That causes disconnect. I need to see exactly how the audience is reacting to my presentation so that if I need to make a change in the middle of my presentation, I know the exact cues to pick up on. For example, a metaphor that I like to use is that the script is like the spine of a book. The spine holds everything together, but what you do in the pages is adjustable. So what you need is a script that holds everything in place, but should something arise, for example, some of your jokes not landing, or you finding out that the demographic is quite different, you can make those adjustments in the presentation that will service your audience. It is important that you change your presentation from a monologue to a dialogue. Take the energy from the audience and make adjustments in your presentation to feed that energy back into the audience. Now that leads to my final step, step number 3, delivering that information to your audience. Before, I talked about how the script is like the spine of the book and you should keep yourself available for adjustments. Now, how do I make those adjustments in the middle of my speech? For example, if you tell a joke in a certain way that really worked with the audience, I suggest that you tell subsequent jokes in a very similar manner. Do not lock yourself in. This is not about what you prepared and sticking with that. This is about taking what you prepared, seeing what works in the audience, and then repeating the things that worked. For example, if it's not a joke and if it's a piece of information, I want you to deliver it in a way that is impactful. Your main message, what is the main message of your presentation? Deliver it in a certain way that you think will service the audience. Now that will depend based on your demographic, which I talked about in step 1. But deliver it in a way. Check, how is your audience reacting? Are they nodding? Do they seem inspired? Are they sitting at the front of their seat? Are they whispering to their colleagues and having conversations about your presentation? If they are reacting positively like that, it is important that you deliver the next vital pieces of information in a very similar manner. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. And so by doing these repetitions, finding out what works, and then delivering what works, you can build further connections with the audience. There's no point in doing something that's not working with the audience, even if it's something that you planned beforehand. So, all in all, number one, know your audience. Who are you talking to? What are their demographics? Why are they here today to listen to you? Number two, listen to your audience. What are they saying? How are they reacting? And take that information to deliver it into step 3, delivering to your audience. Taking what worked and repeating it and adjusting the things that didn't work in your presentation. Having that kind of flexibility is really difficult in a presentation, but when you are relaxed and you are in your natural state, then you can make the necessary adjustments to help you further the connection with your audience. Alright guys, those are 3 tips on how to improve your presentation, and please stay tuned for more tips on how to be a more confident speaker. See you guys.